welcome back. You made it. You wrote a script? No? Alright, you're out. Oh, come on back. It's alright. You can watch. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to break your script into pages and breaking your pages into panels. Like I told you in episode 2, I always write a script for my comics. I don't describe every panel, just what happens in the story. So, when I get to the actual drawing, I print out my script and read through it, marking it wherever I think it might be a good idea to cut to a new page. There are techniques for this, like the cliffhanger ending where something exciting is just about to happen. That's a great way to keep your readers' interest in the story. End the page just where they open up the cellar door or just when a hand grenade goes through the window. Alright, maybe not on every page, but you get the idea. Mark your script where you think it might be a good idea to cut it. And then, when you're done, count the pages you broke it down to. Is it too long or too short? Only you know that. It's your story. But try to have at least something vaguely interesting happen on every page. Not only does that make for a better read, it's also a lot more interesting for you to draw. A great location or a great line of dialogue should do it. You don't need hand grenades. Be careful how much information you cram into every page. Remember, you have to break it down into panels. More than 6 or 9 panels per page is usually very hard on the eyes. And more than 3 speech balloons in one frame makes the story kind of hard to follow. Also, think about what kind of pacing you want. Some scenes you might want to be calm and quiet. That's usually done with the use of big pictures with not a lot of dialogue. You might already have some key images in your head or already sketched out. Make sure you leave room for those images. They're probably one of the main reasons you're even making this story. When I break down my pages into panels, I usually do small sketches that some call thumbnails. The reason for that is they're faster to draw and you can get a feel for the layout a lot easier than with a big, expensive piece of oversized drawing board. Again, this preparation will save you time and grief. You don't want to be halfway done with a page only to find out it needs 2 more panels to work. Do the thumbnails and get a feel for the pace, then start doing the sketches for the actual pages. I know, we're 3 episodes in and now he starts talking about drawing. Well, not just yet exactly. What I do is I usually text my pages before I start drawing on them. There are 2 reasons for that. One, it's boring, so I want to get it done, get it over with. And 2, it's a lot easier to fit my dialogue into the balloons afterwards. I'll go into details about texting in episode 5, but right now, before you start laying out your pages, here are a few guidelines. Make sure you have an establishing shot. You know that technique from the movies or even better television. You start out with a New York skyline, then you see a house and zoom in on a window. The next image is probably 2 people sitting in a kitchen talking. That scene is shot in a studio somewhere, most certainly not in the city of New York. But because we had the establishing shot, we all know and believe they're inside a building in New York City. On TV, they do this to save money. In comics, we do this to save time. We don't want to have to show the whole city of New York in every panel. And we also want to give the reader an idea of where we are, which helps them follow the story. If you do your establishing shot right, you can get away with drawing very little background on the rest of your page. We go over backgrounds and perspective drawing in lesson 6, so don't worry about that now. The next guideline I want to give you is variation. Make sure every panel is not the same. Variation in size is good. When I started out making comics, I actually copied a bunch of page layouts just like this, just to get an idea of what to do. But variation within the frames is even more important, and that also saves you some time. If you already had 2 close-ups of your characters talking, let's shake things up a bit and show them in full figure silhouettes for frame 3, because we know what they look like now. No need to show every detail. When you have a specific reaction panel, an emotional outburst or something like that, it might not be the best time for a silhouette, but then again that might be exactly right. Only you will know it's your story. Before we go on to lesson 3 about character design, I want to give you a few ideas for page layouts. Now, you can't really go wrong with a 9-panel grid. If you want to shake things up a bit, make some variations in size and numbers of panels, but more than 9 panels on a page tends to give a very hectic feel. The bigger and more detailed your panels are, the more it tends to slow down the reading of it. An open panel here and there is great for variation, but works best with a single character, object, a car, or a building in full view. You can also skew your grid and make irregular panels, giving off the idea of a world gone out of whack. If you've read American superhero comics, you'll know the splash page, a panel that stretches across a 2-page spread. You'll also have noticed that a lot of US comics tend to bleed, meaning the art goes all the way to the end of the page. If you're using this method for print, be sure to have your art extend over the edge of the page. Another interesting idea for a layout is the split panel, where something that's really one image is split into several panels, giving off the illusion of time passing. When you're experimenting with your grid, proceed with caution. Always be aware of your reading order. Your view of the page should flow naturally. If you have to stop and think about what panel or speech balloon to read next, that hurts the storytelling. It's time to wrap it up for episode 3. So what have we learned? Thumbnails, variation, reading order, those are very important things. Now let's put some people in your comic on to episode 4, character design.